Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis here at the Prepared Homestead. Well folks, I'm afraid I don't really have good news for you. I mean, look at what's happening. It's every day just compounding and compounding. And I feel, and all the experts now agree pretty much that I have seen, that it's going to get worse. And it's going to be worse for a long time until it finally peaks out. And then, well, we don't know what'll happen after that because it's just all started, even globally. And we're starting to see the signs of panic. The president last night said that they're closing down travel to and from Europe for 30 days. You know, my honest opinion is too little too late. I saw today that tickets of coming back to America from Europe. Someone was talking about out of Germany. They've got family in Germany that's trying to get back to the United States, and tickets right now are selling at $20,000 a flight because of such high demand all of a sudden. How many of those people might be bringing things back? I know they're talking about screening them and everything, but I think we've seen so far the screening doesn't really work that well. And we've got more states declaring states of emergency, many more cases. They're just compounding. Italy is up over 15,000 cases, and they broke 1,000 deaths. And we're nearing 2,000 cases now. So what's going on? I mean, what do we have to look forward to? As far as a pandemic, probably not a lot of good right now. I think, and this is all my personal opinion, so remember that, I think that this is going to work slightly different than we've seen in other countries. And for the main reason is that our country, land-wise, is very large and very spread out. We also have a large population. So look at Italy. Italy is the size of one of our states, if not smaller than many states. And so it started kind of in one city, and it's slowly spreading. Even in China, as big as China is, it started in one city and it began to spread. But here in the United States, it's different. While we are very large and spread out, and so that might slow the spread down a little bit because of just the breadth of our nation land-wise, we are seeing that there's outbreaks already occurring, at least in the beginning stages, in several cities on the East Coast, the West Coast, and here in the middle part. And so I think that when we start to get the numbers going and it starts to really pour in, and usually with viruses, and this one is showing true, that about every 6th day it doubles in the amount of infected. And so as we start to hit that point to where that every 6-day doubling number is large, we're going to see hospitals become very overwhelmed. There are multiple doctors that have come out in Italy, whether doing news interviews or writing articles, begging and pleading for Americans to wake up that this is way worse than the flu, and that it's harming more people than just the elderly, and that yes, it will overwhelm your medical system. Italy kind of followed the same plan as we did in the beginning, that it was just the flu, it's not a big deal, we have a great healthcare system, we can handle it. And they are overwhelmed. There are people in hallways, there are people dying because they can't get the proper medical care that they need. There's doctors having to choose, and this is firsthand accounts, they're having to choose between 3 or 4 patients of which one to let die and which one to try to save. That's something that we've never seen in this country before. But I fear that we're going to see that pretty soon, probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe less is what I suspect, but I'm giving a little extra time. But my opinion is we're probably going to see it within the next week, certain pockets starting. And by 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be in a lot of places. We just aren't doing enough. There's still people that can't get tested because there's so many regulations on who can get tested, instead of just saying anyone that needs to get tested or wants to get tested can get tested. I'm still concerned with how many young people are just blowing this off. I read an article that in the past week, the amount of travel, because people aren't traveling as much, plane tickets went down, and people were buying them up to go travel, and it was mostly young people. They saw it as an opportunity. Plane tickets are going down, we're going to start traveling. And they said that they were doing it. The people were saying, the young people, millennials, were saying it, well, we're young, we're not going to really get sick, so we don't have a lot to worry about. Number one, you can get sick. You may not die. If you're young and healthy, you may not die. But start looking at the things that's coming out of Italy. We're talking people that are surviving it, that are getting past it. They're talking about 3 to 4 months of physical therapy to get their body and their lungs back to the point that they can breathe normally again. They're saying that it's producing so much scarring tissue on the lungs that they will forever be damaged and most likely never again be able to do the physical activity that they once did. They will definitely be restricted on the level of physical activity. There are also reports coming out of China that a lot of people that have gone through this and been cured, they are now showing that they are infertile. So there's definitely a lot more things that's happening to younger people than just, little sniffles and then that's it. But people just aren't listening. There's still so many people asleep. I've got friends and family that's still asleep. People that I know that they should be awake on this. They should be seeing it for what it really is and getting themselves prepared. But unfortunately, they're not. And it's a struggle for many of us that see the handwriting on the wall, and we want to wake up our family so that, they can possibly get through this a little bit better. Unfortunately, in times like this that maybe here in America we've never experienced, but in the past of history has experienced it, there's just going to be some people that aren't going to be savable because they don't want to be saved. They are buying the government's line that it's okay. They're in denial that they won't be affected or that it won't be that big, or that right when it starts to get big, some new drug will come out and it'll save them. And that's most likely not going to happen. See, here's something to remember. With most viruses, you have it come in waves. We are just now in the first wave. The second wave of this virus has not even hit yet. Most likely, if this virus follows what most in the past have done, it will mutate at some point. And they're saying that it's already starting to mutate in Europe. But it will mutate at some point to where it'll be a completely different virus enough that any vaccine that's been developed wouldn't work for it. And it may cause new and worse symptoms, which is typical. And then that second wave will be even worse. And people that were infected and cured before, now their immune systems are low, and then they get infected again, and now they die. Now, I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying based on past viruses and past epidemics, that is very common, that there's usually a second wave. It'll probably slow down a little bit in the summer. I don't think it'll go away. There's no evidence that the heat will make it go away, but it's very possible it could slow down. But I say by this fall, we'll probably get a second wave, and most likely it'll be worse than this first one, because you'll have a certain percentage of the population that already has weakened immune systems because of it. I don't think this is going to go down very good, folks. Not just when it comes to it from a disease standpoint and how it will affect people. The stock market today closed with the lowest drop since 1987. That's right, the lowest drop since Black Friday of 1987. They had to once again throw the breakers to stop trading for a while. It was dropping so fast. And that's after a $500 billion influx by the Fed. It's because people see that there's no stopping this. No more fake money's going to make it stop. Nothing the president says is going to make it stop. No more reassuring by all the talking heads. It's not going to stop. And people understand that. A lot of people are, especially in the financial markets. And they're pulling out fast. And we'll probably see it go up a little bit here and there. But I think overall, stock market's dropping fast. And it's not just here, it's all over. What that could do to our economy, we don't even know yet. People taking work off because they're ill or quarantined. We don't know what that's going to do yet. There's other things, that this whole quarantine thing, or possibly just staying home, making people limit their amount. Do you know that 6% of the population are on some type of psychotic drugs? And assuming they're able to get those drugs through this, which that could become unlimited because of China possibly reducing their production of medications, but let's just assume they're still able to get them. Now you've got all these people on psychotic drugs that are being shut in their house with their husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, whatever, that normally they don't spend that much time around them because they have jobs and they go to school, and now they're closed up in their house. There was a report out of China that already people in China are starting to file for a divorce because they realize they don't like their spouse as much as they thought they did because they've been closed up in the house with them for the last couple of months. What's that going to do then? You have people wanting to split up, kick the husband out, kick the wife out. She wants to leave, he wants to leave, but you're under quarantine and you can't. There's a lot of things that people, I think, are not thinking about. Then, on top of all that, it was reported today that the president had direct close contact with the spokesperson for the president of Brazil, who has now tested positive for coronavirus. He also had direct personal contact with the president of Brazil, who is getting tested because he has symptoms of coronavirus. There's pictures of him shaking hands and standing literally shoulder to shoulder touching. Last night, when he did his little press conference, his little speech in the Oval Office, it appeared to me that he seemed a little under the weather. Sounded like he was trying to hold a cough in, like he was gasping for air between breaths. Now, I'm not one trying to spread a conspiracy theory, because it's already being talked all over the internet. But what are we going to do if he gets it? How will that devastate our country? Because he and Pence both met with them. There's photographs of them meeting together. I mean, think about it, folks. We've got senators in quarantine that believe they might have it. There's elected officials and government officials all over the country that are testing positive, or all over the world, all over the world that are testing positive for this. Do you realize how much havoc that would cause on our government if the president contracted it? If something even worse happened and he didn't make it? That could cause a lot of problems in our country. And I'm sure many of you can just imagine where that could take us. If a lot of the world's leaders start getting sick and start dying, I could easily see a new era being rushed in globally of uniting all these countries that are starting to go into chaos because of financial woes and the amount of people getting ill and sick, and because all their leadership are dying. Because every leader in every country are older. Look at Congress, both House and Senate. I think the majority of them are over 70 years old. Folks, I know it sounds crazy. I've said this kind of stuff before, but there is a potential here. I'm not predicting anything. I'm saying there's a potential. If people don't start waking up, doing social distancing, keeping themselves away from each other, getting their kids out of school, getting away from people, I could see a scenario play out very easily where this could lead to some type of new world order era. I know that's some crazy conspiracy stuff, but I think there's some probability there. So, I know this sounds kind of a depressing video, but folks, we need to start getting ourselves ready. And at some point, this is what I've talked to my own family. Yes, try to wake up your family, try to wake up your friends, get them on board, get them to realize, but at some point, survival mode has to kick in. And you have to say, listen, it's too late now. The doors of the ark are closing, right? I took care of my family. I got my supplies, ready so that we can, ride through this pretty good. But I don't have enough for everyone. And I've been begging and pleading you. And now it's too late. And those are not some more harsh realities that we have to deal with. And there will definitely be some that we'll have to deal with. Choose to give a neighbor or a family member or a friend some of your food so that they can survive, knowing that you're taking food away from your own family, maybe lessening your ability to survive. Those are things that we've never experienced in this country. And we are slowly getting to a place where we may experience that. And I've always said this, that a pandemic is quite possibly one of the worst things that could happen, that could cause a lot of destruction. And the reason is it does it slowly. It's not some big explosion and then that's it. It does it slowly. And a lot of people might think that's a good thing, but I would argue to, different. Because, as we're seeing, many people are just asleep. Part of our education system, that's what they do. They make nice, complacent little workers. That's all. They don't create people and develop people into free-thinking, individuals. They just, do their job and believe what they're told. And now we're seeing the dangers of that, where we've got a virus that has the potential to do mass amount of damage if it's not controlled. And you got people standing around laughing about it, saying it's just the flu, and all these people trying to save up and prep up and get ready are crazy. I don't know where this is going, the video and the virus. My gut feeling is that we will survive as humans. I'm not so sure about our government. I think they will. But I do believe in my heart that things are going to get pretty bad before they ever start to get better. And I mean a lot worse than they are now. I think for the first time, this country is going to start seeing people dying in hospital hallways and in the middle of the streets because they can't get the adequate care. We've never really seen that before. We've all seen that kind of stuff in other countries, third world countries and stuff. But I'm afraid we're going to see that here, coming soon. So for those of you that are in a big city, I'm really sorry for you, because I think those are the ones that's going to be worse. And if you can at all possible, get out. I usually don't say things in such strong, definite terms, but I will this time. If you are able to get out of a big city for a while, do so quickly. The president said today in an interview, when asked if he would consider restricting movement inside domestically for U.S. citizens, and he said it is on the table. It's something they're looking at. Like what's going on in Italy, to where you are, everyone, mandated quarantined into your home. And the only way you're to go out and leave is if you have the proper paperwork and documentation to only go to necessary places. That's right. We could very well see that here. So folks, sure, keep trying to wake up your family and friends, but also realize that at some point it has to stop. And you have to go in survival mode, and you have to only take care of your own. All right, folks, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully.